G'day traders, I'm Stacey Burke from Stacey Burke Trading. Today we're going to be addressing the self component, the trading psychology, the trader himself or herself, and how this is probably your biggest area to focus on in terms of consistency, your success in trading, and not only with our 50 pips a day system, but really in all aspects of your life. One of the biggest challenges that most retail traders will face is getting consistent, and they constantly search for the holy grail of entry and exit strategies when in reality they already have plenty of strategies and simple systems that they could be applying when those parameters presented that best optimize the use of those systems. But in our quest to make a lot of money, to make a killing in the markets, we tend to do a lot of self-sabotaging behaviors, and we don't really stick to any one system, and of course our results are inconsistent. We blow up accounts, we come back trying again, saying we'll do something different this time, but the circle repeats itself, and ultimately we don't get to that destination of trading success and consistency. So today I'm going to be addressing some things that have been an opportunity for me to change the results that I was getting in my trading, and the realizations and the breakthroughs that I think are important for traders to address. This is only going on the tip of the iceberg, but today's video I think will ask questions for yourself and ask yourself where it is that you need to focus your energy and attention on, whether it's the technical aspects or whether it's the trader performance aspects, not only in live time but in your process, in your self-management, your self-awareness, and just all the things that will ensure that you yourself get the results that you're after. So one of the first things we need to focus on is self-management, or I needed to focus on was self-management. Self-management being discipline, all those things aside, it's whether or not when you come to the screen in live time, whether or not you're actually going to do the things that you say you're going to do. Now, a lot of these things come back to actually knowing exactly what it is that you're looking for in terms of your ideal best trade setup. So essentially there are certain trade setups that I look for each and every day that have a set of criteria that are designed to, number one, put the odds in my favor. So I'm not interested in any type of setup that's 50-50. What that means is that based on my historical testing and the model that I developed for the 50 pips a day system for myself was, if at any point the question I have during live time is that this could go either way, and I don't have the criteria in place that I consider it to be a 90-10 opportunity where those odds are in my favor based on the criteria that I've set forth. So I know people will say, well, then it's always 50-50. But I disagree. There are certain trade presentations, setups, when they present, of where there's a high degree of possibility that I'm now in the ideal trade setup that I consider to be offer me asymmetrical risk reward. High performance comes back to understanding where your strengths are. Now, I believe in the MAD principle, the maximum effective dose. So I've talked about identifying trade setups that you can scale into. Now this week on the British pound crosses, we have had some extraordinary opportunities. They have followed all the criteria to a T. And even when those opportunities present, I know I'm still receiving emails from traders asking me how they would have gotten into these trades or how that possibly could have been traded. We have been in markets that will continue potentially for another week or two to offer, or longer, to offer moves in both directions for some huge all-in days. So I think it's important that you, as a trader, go back and look at the criteria that, number one, when I talk about the past and blowing up trading accounts, I would go on an extremely good run of producing some fantastic results, and then in 1, 2, or 3 trades blow out that account for various reasons. And most retail traders go through that losing cycle. They'll do great things and then they'll blow up their results. And so there needs to be some things put in place, not only from the behavioral side of things and whatever those may be for yourself. You have to figure out, number one, where your edge is. So I've talked about traders sending me, trying to trade every single move each day, and they have yet to still identify the best trade setups. If you don't know what those are, go back and print off the last 2 weeks of the best trades on the British pound crosses, because we've had 3, 4, 500 pip weeks. Yesterday was a 300 pip day on the pound Aussie, 200 pip day on the pound and the pound yen. So if you're not sure what the best trade setups look like, go back to the 3 simple things that markets do. They break out, they pull back, and they trend. They break out, they pull back, and they reverse. And they break out, and they pull back, and they stay in the trading range. Those are the only 3 things that markets do. We've talked about identifying your number boxes, the highs and the lows. That's where the stops are. We've talked about round numbers and some simple things about how they will lock in a high or lock in a low in the timings typically. And also we've talked about, once they've locked in a level, how they will not go back, because it allows losing traders to get out of the markets. We've talked about identifying where the money is, not only on the 15-minute charts but on the daily charts. We've talked about the initial balance. So if you're not sure, there's also the understanding that I don't trade if I don't see one of my best trade setups, because again, I'm not interested in 50-50. So I think it's important for you as a trader to step back and say, where are the best trades? How do those best trades set up? However criteria that you're putting that together with. What is your emotional makeup? Are you desperate? Are you just desperate to try and make some money, so you're hitting every trade and blowing up and getting frustrated and saying it doesn't work? Stacey's 50 pips a day is BS. Or have you taken the time to deconstruct how the best trades set up, what they look like, how they behave, what time it is, where they are in relation to the high and the low at the numbers? What makes a great trade setup? How do you manage yourself while you're waiting? So even when you, like yesterday's trade alone could have been, for some traders, their whole month. And I know that some traders, because they've been beaten up back and forth chasing all these moves, didn't even get into those trades, and that's as good as they will ever get. So if you haven't done so, screenshot Thursday's trades, British pound crosses. Actually, the whole week we've had 3 massive days this week, and last week we had massive days on the pound yen. Like, we've had some incredible opportunities, and they're going to continue to be incredible opportunities. We've not had a week where we haven't had some huge moves. We're going to get the same things again. So understand the compound effect. Put a spreadsheet together and do the math. If you can do 2% a day, 5% a day, if you're risking 1% to make 2%, or if you're risking 2% and you're to make 5%, whatever that may be, if you master some simple setups, even if you take one trade a week you can still hit your 5% a day target. Now, I know there's traders out there who say that's rubbish, you'll blow up at some point. You will only blow up, okay, when you don't know what you're doing, you don't have daily routines in place to manage yourself, to manage your expectations, to not trade when it's 50-50, and then to be willing to pull the trigger when your setup presents, because you know exactly what it should look like, and when it does set up, when it does present and behave as it's supposed to behave, you'll know when to hold on longer for more out of a winning trade, or when to just take your 50 pips or whatever that trade offers. And in between, you'll manage yourself because you understand what the market's behavior is supposed to be like when you're in a winning trade. Then you go on to the next trade and you do the same thing, and you do the same thing in live time. Okay, how do you handle success? Do you get overconfident and start taking trades outside of your system so you get these great results and then you sabotage them because of stupid behavior? Okay, how do you handle failure? Do you just quit and jump to another system and say it doesn't work, even though the markets only do 3 things? You have to stop and look at where your successes have occurred, where your failures have occurred. Then do more of what made you successful. Quit doing what sabotage your success. Understand the powerful nature of compounding your results. So you can take $1,000 on 5% a day, 16 trading days a month. There's 20 trading days a month, but on 16 trading days a month, doing 5% a day, you can turn that into over $1 million in 10 months' time. If you're not sure, do the math yourself. And I can already hear traders saying that's BS, it can't be done. Well, I'm telling you that it can be done. So, but what has to happen is you have to be able to manage yourself. You have to have the setups that are going to give you those results, and then you have to be willing to sit and be patient and manage yourself, manage your expectations, manage your emotional state, hope, greed, and fear. You can't go on a run for 3 months and all of a sudden over leverage yourself on a setup that's 50-50 and wipe out 3 months of great results that was helping you compound and earn more and more and more. And then you get frustrated and angry and revenge trade, anger trade, and sabotage everything that you've done. Because if you stop and really realize how simple this can be if you're patient and you do the right thing, trade after trade after trade, one trade at a time. It's like being an alcoholic. Alexander Elder talks about this. Most traders have a drink and they keep drinking, they can't stop. And trading is the same. So every single trade is one perfectly executed trade and move on to the next one. There are certain trade setups, obviously, that you can scale into larger, but you have to have done the work to know what those ideal trade setups are. And then you have to manage your emotional makeup in terms of executing your trading process as flawlessly as possible. We put all the steps together. It doesn't matter though. There's so many basic systems that will help you produce results if you can sit and wait for those right conditions to present. You may get them day after day after day for a week, and then for another week get nothing. But that's where you'll do the damage if you engage in self-sabotaging behavior. So it's important to stop if you're frustrated or if you're not producing the results or the consistency isn't there. You need to stop and look at everything that you're doing and ask yourself, am I really doing this properly? Or am I trying to trade the market every day and catch every move instead of letting the market set up to give you your ideal trade setup? And if you don't know what your ideal trade setup is, why are you trading? So these are questions that I needed to ask myself. And when you work backwards and then you're willing to be patient and you get some runs on the board and you start doing the right thing, when you blow out an account and you go back the next day or the next week and you say you're just focusing on one good trade, only the best trades, and you do that for a little while, and then you go back to hitting different trades and trying different systems because you go through a run where you've had a great market. This week has been exceptional. There's no reason why traders shouldn't have had at least one trade this week that was 50 or more pips. There's been massive moves. So step back if you're not happy or if you're not being consistent. If you are, continue to do what you're doing. High performance, handling success, handling failures, executing in live time. So often the biggest reason most traders will end up failing or repeating that losing cycle is that they haven't yet grounded that into their nervous system and worked on the things that they need to individually work on in order to be consistent over the long term. I talk about this in my 7-step daily routine for high performance traders. It's about creating rituals, but those rituals don't just stop once you create them. They're continuously evolving because it's like an ongoing morphic change, in that as you change, your routine will continue to evolve and change as well, because you're changing, you're improving, you're making progress, and as you unlock new learnings, you're going to continue to reshape that daily routine because you're increasing, improving, heightening your performance related skills, not only in your physical health, mentally, physically, emotionally, all the things that are there to help support you achieving consistency in your trading results. So we talk about you and your goals, and whether that's 30-day goals, 90-day goals, 10-month goals, you're gonna write these down, and then what's gonna happen is that you're gonna get to day one, and you're gonna have a challenge, or a good day, or a bad day, or a day where you break your own rules, or you do things that sabotage yourself, or you do things that support yourself. And I talk about each day one. Every day is day one. I use that analogy. Alexander Elder talks about an alcoholic going through one day at a time. Well, your trading is the same thing. You can go 10 months and unlock and ruin everything in 1 week. You can go 10 months building a massive account and blow everything out in 1 or 2 or 3 really poorly chosen trades, maybe all in sequence of each other, in going into tilt. You had a bad day, you had a fight with your spouse or your partner, or your significant other, or you got a big bill, or you're frustrated because you've taken some poor quality trades. You're trying to get back to the high water mark. Okay, so let's go back and start with, what are you going to do day after day after day? Because that's the reality between success and failure. So I keep talking about this. I love when people say, can you back test this, or can you trade it live for me? Here's my question for you. How many times do you want me to trade it live for you that you're actually going to get value from that? How many back testing results do you need before you are going to actually follow your own rules, trade after trade after trade? That all means nothing, and I'm sure if you're here following me, you've system jumped, you've done all these things. And even when you have a winning trading system or a winning trading setup, even one good trade, and you still can't execute it properly, or hold on, or you hold on for too much, or you get out too soon, or you move your stop too quickly, you get stopped out at break even, and after sitting and waiting because you haven't done the work necessary, breaking your best trade setups down into every single variable. I talk about not trying to trade every single move in the market. If you want to know what a best trade setup looks like, okay, today's September 11th, go back over the last 4 weeks of the British pound crosses and print off those 4 weeks of charts, because they have pretty much every single ideal trade setup as well as poor quality setups, so that you can differentiate between the two. But they've got some of the best high quality setups that you will see over and over and over again on different pairs, in different instruments, different markets, different timings, but you'll see the same setups. So study those, pick 2 or 3, buy signals, sell signals, trend trades, know what the variables are. You know, I talk about being in a trade. I got a great question today. How do you handle a losing day? You know, do you find that it's your system? When you have a loss, is it you or is the market? The market is always right. Sometimes I'll take a poor quality setup, but I'll recognize that, and I'll know I know now to get out, and I'll either come back later, or I will identify where I missed the better setup and get into that trade, or I'll wait and come back for the US session and let some of the majors evolve over the 2 sessions heading into New York. But I'm looking for easy stuff. I'm not trying to trade every move. I'm looking for trades that I can position myself in with the underlying weight of the market, the underlying trend, for the easy move. Whether that's at the New York Open, whether that's in the London for a trend trade, or for a peak formation, week high of the week, low of the week, reversal. So these are some of the things that you need to be able to break down, because the only thing that's going to ensure that you can go day after day after day after day after day after day is that you need to know what you're looking for, and you need to know, when you do see it, how to execute it properly. The timings. If you're in the wrong trade, how should it behave when it's the right trade? How do you manage it? How should it behave if it's going to be the right trade? How far should it go? When is a sign that it's exhausting, or that maybe it's failing, or slowing down? All the little things. And you can only do that through sitting through a lot of that in live time, and you learn from every single trade. I talk about journaling, but figure out how to 10x your best trade setups, okay? We talked about the compounding interest effect. That is the most powerful thing you can use to force yourself to change, to force yourself to improve. Quit taking garbage and trying to scalp pips. That is what will beat you up. Develop the consistency through maximum effective dose. Okay? Take fewer trades. Learn how to scale them up in size. Which ones are the real powerful setups? Okay? Why are you getting shaken out of winning trades? Because you don't know what you're doing. You haven't gone deep into those trades or sat through enough of them to know when to go to break even, or when to hold on, or when it should be time for you to put more risk on. Okay? Why are you holding on to poor quality trades until it hits your stop? Or why are you moving your stop? Why are you engaging in behavior that's going to interfere with you achieving your goals? You're either going to go through some bad patches, but eventually you're either going to blow out, you're going to capitulate and blow out, or you're going to have some ups and downs, and you're going to start doing the things that are going to ensure that you get here, not here. So how do you manage yourself? Mentally, physically, emotionally. Do you get anxious? Do you have anxiety? Do you go on a winning streak and then just destroy it with self-sabotaging behavior? Okay, how do you handle your own hope, greed, and fear about this while you're in here? How are you going to get here day after day after day after day after day? Here, okay? How are you going to handle pain when you get here and you seem to be stuck, and this seems a long ways away, but you know the compounding effect kicks in really strong over here? How are you going to get there? Okay? Don't worry about chasing high water. High water is when you've been to a certain level in your account, you're in a loss or you're in a losing trade, and you want to get back to where you were, where you started the day or the week or the month. So you start taking on more risk, trying to take little scalps out or chase something to get back to the high water mark. That will lead you to here. Eventually, it will lead you to there. Okay? Why won't you take a loss? Why won't you? That was one of my biggest things, is I did not want to take a loss. And I've talked about this. I've had some great questions. How do I handle a loss? I'll cut my losses right away. But I like to end the day green. That doesn't mean I go chasing stuff, but I know if I'm in a poor quality setup, I know that the market is going to be moving somewhere. I will hunt through the US pairs. I'll look at the crosses. I'll recheck how those setups have evolved, what day of the week it is, where we are. Are we up high? Are we down low? What time is it? Are we up high or low for the day? Have they trapped volume? Is there a better setup? Because I know in the majority of time there's going to be a decent trade. So if I've taken a poor quality setup or I've been in the wrong trade and I've cut it, I can recover from that, no problem. I don't worry about high water. Okay, I know pretty much, if you've been following me, there's 50 pips almost every single day. And in this week, this particular week, we've had probably one of the best trading weeks ever. The pound pairs fell 500 pips. I mean, if you didn't get something this week on one of those pairs, that was a gift, right from the daily chart right down to the 15-minute every single day. So as I said, if you don't know what a best trade setup is, print off the last 4 weeks of the British pound crosses and study those charts. Understand all the variables of those, but understand that you yourself are going to be the vehicle to get you here, not this. Okay? That is a component of you getting here, but it's you got to manage yourself. Performance, live performance, back testing, live trading, all those things are fantasy land. It's about what you're going to do day after day after day after day after day, trade after trade after trade after trade. And then in between, how are you going to manage yourself so that you can be consistent, emotionally oriented to achieving your goals, to executing your trading plan. Retrain your brain to only see the best setups, not try to read what the market's doing and trade it. Okay, wait for what the best setups are. What are the characteristics of what the best setups entail? But today we're talking about getting yourself into the headspace, in your routines, mentally, physically, emotionally, technically, so that you can perform at the highest level and achieve your goals. If your goal is to scalp pips, then develop the system that's going to do that. But make sure you've got the system, the real system in place that helps you get from here to here when reality kicks in. So you hit a great trade today and you're going back tomorrow with double the amount because you figured it out, you know what's going on, and then bang, you get in the wrong trade, you're at double the risk, you're holding on, you average into losing trade, you move your stop, or you try to get back to the high water mark, or you hold on to it too long, it margins you out, whatever that may be. And then emotionally you're crushed. Psychologically, you've just destroyed your psychological capital, and then you got to recover again and repeat the same cycle all over again. That is why most retail traders fail. They don't really focus on the aspects that are going to get them from here to here in this capacity day after day after day after day. So go to work on yourself, figure out where your potholes are, understand where your hidden issues are, and if you've been trading long enough, I'm sure you know what they are, because it's not here. That's one component. You need an edge, but everybody's had winning trades. So take your best winning trade, break it down, figure out how you need to be able to get the frequency of those trades setups, how big you need to trade them. Start small. We showed you the compounding interest effect. Day after day after day after day after day. Patience and execution, flawless execution. Grow that account to where the snowball kicks in. It's not that hard, but we interfere with us achieving that outcome. So stay disciplined, stay focused.
Hi traders, it's Stacey Burke from Stacey Burke Trading. If you haven't done so, please head over to my website at staceyburketrading.com. I create updates on almost a daily basis, and I would love for you to receive them. Just click on the blog. If you want to enter your name and your email address, I'll send you my free audio program, the 7-Step Daily Routine for High-Performance Traders. This is essential knowledge for all traders in all markets, and this is for helping traders to master the market with discipline, confidence, and a winning mindset. I appreciate all your feedback and comments. As always, traders, stay disciplined, and may the markets go with you.